Come back, dear one, to your heart and remember that all is healed in love.
Okay, take 2 on Ascension.
Yes. So when we were in Rome, we were channeling at the Colosseum on abundance, and we didn't know what our next topic was going to be about. And Aurixom told us that it should be Ascension. It feels very pertinent and timely.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we're putting a lot of emphasis on this one because that's really why Aurixom's here. So we want to make sure we do it right.
And we're going to kind of just start from the basics and get to the heart of really what Ascension is and why we should all care, why this pertains to us in our daily lives and what we can expect to see.
I am ready when you are.
All right, let's do this. Greetings.
Hi, Aurixom.
Hello, dear one.
How are you today?
We are wonderful. And you?
I am doing fantastic. We get to talk about Ascension today.
Yes, and we are so pleased.
Well, without further ado, I'm going to ask the all-important question and let you steer this ship. What is Ascension?
Ascension is humanity's next step in their evolution. This is a spiritual as well as a physical step in the evolution of humanity as you move up in your vibration and in your auric fields, and as you begin to recognize your connection to the whole of all that is.
So when you talk about evolution and ascension and kind of the next step of humanity, I often think of dimensions. Can you describe what dimensions are?
Yes. Dimensions for humanity is a relatively new concept or idea. There are theories of multiple universes or dimensions or parallel realities, the extent of which you have only begun to imagine. You live in the three-dimensional universe, where you have time in a linear fashion, and you have space. You know that your world around you is a three-dimensional world because you can see it and you can feel it and you are a part of it. As you move up in the dimensions, you will begin to understand the fluidity of the universe that surrounds you. Everything is vibration. And as you ascend through dimensions, you become more aware of the fabric of the universe that you are playing in. You are less bound by the time and space that you find yourself in now. Many of your scientists and philosophers have already recognized that time is, as you would say, a construct. As you begin to ascend, this will be one of the main or first things that begins to dissolve for you as you begin to realize that every time is now.
You mentioned time, and I think about the difference in third dimension that we are all experiencing, and then where we're going next, what the next evolution is, or the ascension process for humanity. Can you tell us what dimension we would ascend to?
Right now, most of humanity is in the fourth dimension. This is a sort of bridge between the third dimension, a much denser and heavier space, and the fifth dimension, which is filled with much more light and love and fluidity than you experience here. You are moving through and ascending, and parts of the planet are still firmly rooted in the third dimension, which is a fear and lack-based space. And there are others who are closer to the fifth dimension. But as a whole, the collective of humanity is somewhere in the fourth, getting close to ascending to the fifth.
What are some of the basic principles around ascension that humans should know about as we prepare for this?
There are many ways that we can answer that question. Would you please be a bit more specific?
So as I think about navigating third dimension, or to your point, some are in this kind of quasi state of between third and fifth dimensions. We have time and space, we experience fear and lack. What changes in the fifth dimension?
In the fifth dimension, as we stated, time becomes more relative to you, meaning you become aware of different spaces and times and are able to move yourself with much more ease to the particular now that you are wishing to experience. This means that manifestation, as you would describe it here, is much swifter and comes to you much faster. The reason why you as humanity need to focus on yourselves internally and why there is this bridge, so to speak, with the fourth dimension is that you need to learn to control your mind. Your mind and your heart are what manifests and creates the reality that you see around you and that you perceive. But in the fifth dimension, there is less time that it takes to be able to create this said reality. Therefore, if you were to, say, think something negatively in the fifth dimension, it would come to you very swiftly. In the third and fourth dimension, there is a, so to speak, lag in time where you are creating your reality. So you have a moment to be able to correct course, so to speak. We would say that it would be like a teenager learning to drive a car. First, you will take them to a parking lot, which is much safer and slower, and then you will take them later to the freeway where they will be driving faster.
So in that analogy, the parking lot is maybe third dimension, the freeway is fourth dimension?
The freeway would be the fifth dimension in this analogy. You would not go and put someone who did not know how to control a vehicle and ask them to drive 70 miles an hour.
They made me do that at 15 before I had my driver's license, so maybe that was a bad idea. Can you tell me why are we ascending?
It is time for humanity to ascend. There have been things that have held you back, powers that be that have kept you in the dark for long enough. But humanity now, with its more advanced communications and ability to share information, is beginning to understand and see with a much clearer picture what the true reality is that is around you. Once you have opened your hearts and opened your minds and you have seen the reality of this world for what it is, you cannot put the cat back in the bag.
That makes sense. I think a lot of people will wonder why now versus any other time. And from what I'm gathering, it has to do with technological advances to allow us to do so. But also just the steady stream or accessibility of information. Is there anything else that is making now such an important time for ascension?
Yes. In addition, you are earthlings, and your planet is also a living consciousness that is going through its own ascension process. As beings that are from and of this particular planet at this particular time, you will be ascending along with the sphere of Gaia.
Can you explain Gaia for anyone that hasn't heard that term before?
Gaia is what would be referred to as your planet, or more importantly, your planet's consciousness. Everything has consciousness. So much of humanity's understanding of consciousness now is that you measure it by your own standards, that being a human standard. But more and more every day, as you pay attention to the life that is around you, you see that there is consciousness in all things.
The lightning is very close for anyone that maybe picked that up in the light flash. So ascension is now. Will people actually ascend in our lifetime?
Yes.
And what will that experience be like for someone ascending?
It is hard to say exactly what that experience will be like, because each individual shall experience this differently, based on their own vibration and based on their own lens of understanding.
Interesting. So, can you maybe paint the picture on what is different about those who ascend?
Those who ascend from those who do not?
So if Rae and I both ascend, but to your point, everyone might experience ascension differently, what might be different about the experience Rae would have versus myself?
Your experience with Rae will be relatively similar. You both share a close vibration with your love and work and life that you have built together. But your experience may be different from someone who is maybe on a different path in terms of their understanding of ascension and of their vibration. This is why these conversations are so important, because humanity tends to fear what they do not understand. The more information or understanding that they can receive in this time to allow into their heart and into their energetic field, the easier the transition will be, and the less fearful the transition will be.
Can anyone ascend?
Yes, everyone will ascend at one point or another, although at this particular time, not all of the human collective will ascend together.
What happens to those who don't?
Those who don't will stay in this realm of the three-dimensional world that you are experiencing now.
Interesting. What would those who don't ascend see or experience about those who do?
This also depends on the individual's vibration. Remember, you create your own reality. Therefore, depending on your lens, depending on your understanding, and depending on your energetic vibration on the spectrum of love to fear, you will experience this differently. For some, it will just seem that you are no longer around or in their life, just as sometimes you have friends or people that are in your life for a period of time and then you are no longer in contact. For others, it may be that they recognize that you are, quote, gone.
Fascinating. So if, let's say I didn't ascend, and I hope that that's not the case. Let's say I didn't and Rae does, I could merely experience that she just is not around anymore?
Yes, but there is no need to fear. There is no need to fear being, as you might say, left behind. Everyone is on their own journey, and everyone shall reach their point of ascension back to source at one point or another. For anyone who chooses at this time to embrace love and light and a higher vibrational existence, there shall be nothing lost. For anyone who may have more learning to do or may not be ready to accept the new or higher vibration, they just have more learning to do. But there is no need to fear for them. They are choosing to remain in what you may call their comfort zone here in the third dimensional world that they are accustomed to.
So not everyone will ascend at the same time, but when this transition happens, there will be a significant majority of people that ascend, like a large group of people. How does that work?
Yes, there is, as you have discussed before, a critical mass of awakening or consciousness that humanity is coming to. There are enough people that are understanding the fabric of your universe and how this reality is working that are impacting those around you. For example, people that hear this message because you are bringing it into the world are being impacted by your energetic vibration. And every person on the planet, whether they realize it or not, and whether or not they realize that they are choosing love or perhaps fear, are impacting energetically those around them. So when a certain point of the population of humanity has raised their vibration to a certain level, then it will shift or raise up so much of humanity's vibration as a whole and as a collective. This is also true for your planet, as your planet is raising in vibration and raising in its consciousness. It is in turn waking up humanity and the other consciousness that is in the planet as well.
So for anyone that may be listening to this and kind of feels steered in this direction of wanting to know more about ascension and being curious and waking up, what should they do to help their process of ascension?
Where so much of humanity can get off track is thinking that you need to save each other, that there is something outside of yourselves that you must change or manipulate. But this is not true. What you must focus on as humanity is yourself. Going inward, where, as we have said before, the kingdom truly lies, where your power lies. And when you change your own vibration, when you are raising your own frequency, you shall in turn raise the frequency of those who are around you.
How does someone raise their own frequency?
It is healing. It is getting in touch with your inner self, your higher self. You are but a fraction of yourself here in this body. You have the majority of your soul, of your essence, that is in a higher realm already, waiting for you to recognize itself within yourself.
Can you elaborate on that? We exist in other dimensions, like myself physically?
Yes.
What is that like? Because I just experienced me in 3D. So if I'm existing in other dimensions, how am I not aware of that?
That is what we are saying as you come into higher vibrational alignment, and as you come to recognize that time is not linear, but all times are now, you will begin to be able to perceive yourself in other dimensions or other spaces or other lives or other realities. All time is now. Past, present, and future, as you would say, all existing simultaneously in this moment. And as you ascend, you begin to tap into the ability to read this vibration and to choose for yourself where you wish to focus your attention.
You mentioned healing. What healing is necessary for someone to ascend?
When you are in this life and in this body, you come here to learn, to experience, to have growth as a soul. You then, when you come into this body, forget what you truly know, that you are an infinite being.
And you mentioned that we will eventually be able to experience ourselves in other dimensions. And we hear often that someone will hear a thought in their head and it almost feels like it's not theirs. Could it be possible that they're hearing themselves from a different dimension?
This could be possible. Yes, every person has an internal dialogue with themselves in whatever dimension of physicality or not physicality that they are currently residing in. However, humanity tends to think that all of the thoughts that run through their mind are their own. This is not true. You would describe what Rae is doing now or channeling in many different ways, depending on the person who is experiencing it. For anyone who has ever said that they are in flow or in the zone, this is a small taste of what it is like to be channeling yourself or other beings from different times, spaces, or dimensions.
That's definitely my next question. Who all is a part of this ascension process and who's helping humanity with their ascension?
There are many beings here, both physical and non, that are watching and helping humanity along their way. Why, you might ask? Because we have been there before and because someone also helped us.
Rae and I would refer to you and others as guides. Is that an accurate way of depicting those that might be assisting someone with ascension?
This is an appropriate term.
So we, as Rae and I understand, have this collection of beings or guides that are kind of assisting us with our own ascension and with communicating ascension to others. But I also understand that there might be a collection of beings or other beings outside of just our personal guides that are assisting with humanity as a collective's ascension. Is that accurate?
Yes.
Can you tell us more about that?
Yes, humanity has been beginning to postulate or spread word of the Galactic Federation. This may be a term that you have heard before. This is a collection of many different species from this galaxy who are here to be of assistance to humanity in this time. There have been some word, or maybe some of you might say rumors, from your governments or from your news outlets that the Galactic Federation is here and is in contact with your governments and with your leaders. And this is true.
We've definitely heard on the news, although it's not widely spread across news outlets, that have referenced this very galactic federation, and that there are certain people on Earth that are communicating with them.
Aliens exist and President Trump knows about it. That's according to Israel's former space security chief. In an interview with an Israeli newspaper, he said the aliens have been waiting until today for humanity to develop and reach a stage where we will understand in general what space and spaceships are.
Chaim Eshed is making the extraordinary claim that the United States and Israel have been in contact with a group of aliens for years. He has called them the Galactic Federation of Aliens, and he says President Trump is aware of the existence of these aliens and had been on the verge of revealing their secrets.
And so will that become more public knowledge as we move towards Ascension?
Yes, this is what you are beginning to see now. And again, another reason why the collective of humanity is ascending at such a rapid rate, because it is harder to keep these things secret these days as you have more communication with everyone around the world in almost instantaneous fashion.
So we talked about the Galactic Federation and guides and higher self, and that gets me excited, just the idea of meeting beings that are not of this earth, let alone maybe of this dimension. What are some of the things that people should get excited about with Ascension?
Ascension is a beautiful thing. It is time for humanity to begin to remember the power and the joy and the love that they have within themselves. This planet has for a long time been operating in a very dense and fear-based mentality. And this has done well to hold your frequency in a much lower space. But as you ascend back, you will find that there is more and more light and love that will penetrate every aspect of your being and your life. Therefore, less and less fear and lack and suffering. As you move up into the fifth dimension, you will become love. You will become resonant with love and with light and with acceptance and with abundance. These things are your true nature. As you look around at your planet, life is abundant. You do not worry about where your next breath of air will come from, because there is air all around you. In the third dimension, you have been made to forget or to doubt that you are joy, that you are abundance, that you are love, that you are limitless potential and the very source of creation itself.
I often think about abundance when I think about Ascension. Can you maybe elaborate on the concept of abundance and how that will be more prevalent in fifth dimension?
Yes, there is no lack in the fifth dimension. Here in the third dimension, you have a construct of an economy. You, in this dimension, are, we shall choose these words carefully, misusing your resources so that It seems that there is not enough, when in fact there is enough. There is more than enough. And as you move up in your dimensions, and as time begins to become less and less of a restriction for you, anything that you need will be available to you in the moment in which you need it. But humanity must understand that you cannot place your third dimensional ideas of the way abundance works into a fifth dimensional space. Money does not exist in the same way in the fifth dimension that it does here. It is a different kind of abundance in that space, and you must try to break down the constructs in your mind that you have in place of projecting this world that you live in now into the future space that you will be occupying.
So one of the challenges that I think anyone living in 3D will experience, and I personally know that I have, around the topic of abundance is, once I've gotten to the place of recognizing there is infinite abundance, I often find myself looking back at my past and saying, well, but that all happened, so then there's not abundance, or, well, if there's abundance, how come I don't have it here? Can you provide some advice to those that are kind of using that construct to almost argue against abundance, and what are some things that they can do to change their way of thinking?
Every time is now. Your perception of your past is just that, a perception. And you may choose to allow your past actions or your past experiences to dictate your now or your future moments. This goes back to what we were discussing before with learning to heal yourself and to control your mind and your thoughts and your feelings, because as you come into a higher vibrational alignment, the time that it takes for you to manifest things will become shorter and shorter. Therefore, you want to make sure that you are a healed and aligned being, so that you are only calling into your reality that which you wish to experience. Now, we are not saying that you did not experience that in what you perceive as your past, but we are saying that you may choose to perceive something different in this particular now and moving forward.
Is there anything that someone should do to prepare for ascension?
There is no need to prepare as we think maybe you are meaning, or as we believe that the collective may perceive this question by the word prepare. When humanity thinks of preparing in the third dimension, they think of let us say preparing for a storm. Preparing usually comes in humanity's mind with a negative or fearful connotation. That you must prepare to get water or food because you will not be safe in this storm that is approaching. And this is not the case for what we are talking about in moving up and ascending to a different dimension. This shall be joy and love and light and beauty and comfort, and nothing shall be lost.
I think that's helpful to remember. Nothing shall be lost. That I was reminded of what humans might remember as doomsday preppers or something like that, getting prepared for end of days. That's not quite in that vein of loss, as I understand it.
Yes, this is a different experience from what we are discussing here.
Yeah. Is there any one thing that humanity needs to or should remember in order to ascend?
The thing that humanity needs to remember is that they are the source of everything that they see around them. It is a very real and physical, we shall say, thing to create your own reality. And you may choose at this point to create the reality that you wish to experience in light and love and in abundance.
And we've talked about everyone kind of existing in third, fourth dimension, ascending to fifth dimension. There are other dimensions beyond that. Is it possible for someone to ascend beyond the fifth dimension?
Yes, everyone will eventually continue their ascension up. In this particular universe, there are 13 dimensions.
13 dimensions. Could someone in this upcoming ascension process skip the fifth dimension?
While this is possible, it is unlikely.
Interesting. And then once we do get to, let's say, the fifth dimension, can you digress back?
Not in the way in which we think you are asking this question. Once you are in the fifth dimension and you are aware of what is happening around you, it would be very difficult for you to then pull the wool back over your own eyes, so to speak.
Yeah, I can't imagine anyone that experiences love, abundance, joy, wanting to go back to fear and lack.
Yes.
That sounds ridiculous, although I have felt my own self waxing and waning as I'm learning about fifth, but still being held back by third. So I shouldn't mock too much.
This is a normal state to be in right now as you are waffling in the fourth dimension. You are still in the three-dimensional world here with your collective, but are raising your vibration and getting glimpses into the fifth dimension, which is why you are experiencing these collapsing moments of time or different synchronicities that have been more prevalent in your space now. But when you do have moments where you come back to the third dimension or have moments where your vibration lowers back to the lower end of the fourth dimensional space, you begin to feel that in a much heavier or more impactful way, because you are becoming used to a light and higher and loving vibration. So coming back down to the third vibration feels much heavier than it did before.
Heavier is an appropriate word for it. Having experienced it myself, it is quite a weight on our shoulders, so to speak.
Yes, we shall take one more question for this session.
So the last question, I guess, is maybe more around like the physical experience. So everyone watching this, all of us, we're all going to ascend, let's assume. And we ascend, do we go somewhere? Is it a different Earth? Like where do we go?
From your perspective, you will still be here. It will not be like you teleport somewhere else, but you will be experiencing a different version of Earth, a higher vibrational version in a fifth dimensional space of Earth.
Interesting. So, sorry, I have to ask the follow-up question. What will that Earth look like, be like? Will it be different colors?
It will look much like your planet looks like now, just more vibrant, more alive, more loving, more clean, more beautiful.
I am excited for that time to come and so grateful to have you explaining this for anyone that has never experienced Ascension or just has questions around it. So thank you so much.
Of course, we are so proud of all of the souls that have incarnated here in this time and have been willing to come to a space and a place that has so much polarity and density to learn. This is a brave and beautiful thing for a soul to do. And this does not mean that these experiences in this particular life are not, as you might say, hard or painful. But we would say to come back to your heart center. Humanity has been disconnected from their hearts for a long time, as this culture has valued the brain or the mind or the analytical way of thinking over paying attention to your feeling. Come back, dear one, to your heart and remember that all is healed in love, because you are love itself. We love you so, dear ones. For now, we depart.
Hi.
Hi.
How do you feel?
Oh, that was a really wonderful conversation. That was a lot of great information.
Yeah. What a beautiful concept. And for anyone that's experiencing the conversation around Ascension for the first time, this won't be the last one that we'll have, but there is plenty of information out there and people talking about it that it's readily accessible and worth your time getting to understand it, because it's a beautiful notion. And as Aurixom said, we're all ascending to 5D, and it's going to be beautiful and joyful, full of love, full of abundance. Any parting words?
I mean, I feel like we didn't even get through half of our questions, so we'll definitely have more and be coming back
Yes.
to this conversation. But if there's any questions that you have about Ascension or something that you were hoping that we would ask that we didn't ask, please drop it into the comments and we will read through and pick out some questions to ask Aurixom in the next go round.
But in the meantime, like, follow, share, comment. We will get to your comments. There is a lot more to come from us, not just content, but a lot of other really cool things that we're working on. And we want you to be along for the journey. So if any one part of this conversation intrigued you, stick around, ask us questions. We are always willing to ask the questions that you might have to Aurixom. And soon we'll be introducing you to some other beings and guides that we have been talking to. So if that intrigues you, stick around, because that one's going to be a lot of fun. But in the meantime, we love you guys.
Love you.